It's ready? Mic is on. No, mic is on. We should be ready. I don't see it live yet, but as soon as I see it live, we'll start. Do you see it live yet?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have it live. All righty, welcome everybody to the Monday, September 9th Board of Trustees meeting. Let us please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Claire Dole.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, can I have a motion to open up the public hearings portion of this meeting?
I'll make the motion.
Seconded by Mr. Franco, all in favor? Aye. First public hearing, site plan review application, Rivian. The floor is yours, gentlemen.
Great, so I know, I said it here.
Sure.
Hi, my name is Jeff Wysocki. I'm from Restar, the architect for Rivian. And we prepared construction documents for a new Rivian store up at the existing T-Mobile location, 1073 North Broadway. And we did send in packages in initially to Peter for the building drawing plan review. And Peter informed me that we would have to come to a site plan review meeting, so I guess I'm here now. Just last week, I sent out additional drawings, a package which I believe was distributed to each one of you. That, just has it's not a full set, of course, just has a cover sheet.
What date is that on the drawings?
The date on the drawing, I believe is I don't know, I have to look at it.
You don't have a hard copy of that.
There's a revision today
by
on
email.
they moved the chargers,
And
yeah.
Peter has a hard copy with him.
He moved the chargers to the,
For clarity, I sent in copies of what we initially sent in. I have a copy with me that I wrote on by hand to not confuse anybody with relocating the chargers. We will send in new drawings as required, as necessary for that.
The only change in the drawings was the site plan with the charger location
Site plan and also the exterior elevation.
for the signage, to adjust the signage.
Correct, to remove the blade sign that,
Blade.
you informed me that is not allowed, so that will be removed from the construction drawings.
So for clarity's sake, I have drawings that are dated July 19th. Are those the ones plus the revisions you're talking about, the charging station and the blade sign?
Were there additional copies, did we make additional copies of the drawing that I emailed you, Marla?
No, but Peter has one with him that he felt
But to answer
suffice.
trustee Lewandowski, those were the changes. The changes were in the charging station
Yes,
and the removal of what was a blade sign or banner sign off the side of the building. So the signage on the building is just the two signs.
correct. I have copies of an updated drawing that was emailed to Marla last week, that we want to move the chargers behind the building. But that is not illustrated in front of you right now on those drawings.
It was emailed to everybody.
yeah.
Sorry for any confusion, when Peter gave me comments, we jumped on it already, so.
I have, this is the,
So these slots become charging stations.
right, the back four slots, because that's in the drawing.
I can't hear you. So, correct.
The change in the charger location is in the drawing I'm holding up. They're at the rear of the building instead of in the front. I raised the question where they were putting, although the parking is in exactly as per the site plan of the T-Mobile station, the addition of charging stations was in what was the state right-of-way. So my question to Rivian was, do you have permission from New York State DOT to put the charging stations in their right-of-way, even though the parking is already there? and that became, they couldn't get that or couldn't contact people, so they moved them into the rear. And my understanding is that those charging stations are for the demo cars that will be used on site.
Correct, not for public use. It's part of the operations of the,
So somebody even with a Rivian car can't come there and charge.
that's my understanding. We can speak further on that matter.
Dan Vitale, Rivian Automotive. So the charging stations that are proposed are for employee use only to charge, display and test drive vehicles. They will not be public facing, the lot.
Public, it's
Public facing charge, public use charging.
Okay. Continue with your application. Thank you.
Pardon me?
You can continue.
I don't know if I have anything else you'd like to present. If you want to ask more questions, or I'm not sure how to proceed from this.
Well, I could just go over some of the points that I had asked and I addressed, some of them in the narrative that they sent to you. That was the August 21st letter from Rivian. They covered the hours of work from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. How many days a week is that?
5 days a week. 7 days a week.
7 days a week. We talked about the charging stations. And there was a question about the numbers of customers on here. It indicated 180 customers per day. Is that what you're expecting? It just sounds high.
It does sound high. I actually just requested a note from our operations team to confirm that that's the case. It sounds high to me as well, so I apologize for that. Typically, our test drives are pre-scheduled, so interesting number. I'll have to check on that.
Yeah, I'm a numbers guy and I was working. That meant you had like 12 minutes per person in the facility.
The cars are
Over
fast.
the 9 hours. Also, in accordance with the previous T-Mobile facility that was there, the second floor of this building is unoccupied. That was a condition of the T-Mobile approval, and that's what's being represented by this application, that the second floor is not used for anything, storage or for anything, and that's, I believe that's part of your lease also.
That is correct. Yeah, the upper level is vacant and will remain vacant, non-occupied as if it didn't exist.
Okay.
Peter, who's the landlord? Is that
I'm sorry.
the landlord?
I don't know his contact off the top. of
My
head.
apologies, I do not know the landlord.
Okay. Is it Cushman and Wakefield?
I didn't look that up.
Okay.
And I think it's the last item I had. There's existing landscaping on the corner, which is really nicely done. We want to make sure that that's maintained. I don't know if that's your responsibility or the owner of the property.
Per our current construction documents, I'll say on my end, we're not touching the site at all except to put in the charters. And then, restripe where the existing stripe is. There's no landscape revisions or upgrades or removals of anything.
I mean, from my standpoint, I would like to see some provision
That's
that
a
requires that by whoever's going to be doing it.
And we'd be happy to do so. So whether or not it's a landlord's responsibility or Vivian's, it's a high-end car dealership. And
Yeah.
we'd of course be
And we,
upkeep with the landscape.
we need to have the sprinklers fixed because they just shoot onto North Boulevard and onto Old Boulevard.
So the good adjustments.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
You get a car wash when you wait for the red light.
And they don't charge you for it. What are you complaining about? They're gonna come out with the soap.
And they're only supposed to be every other day, but I know they've been not running every other day. Yeah, I think to Peter's point, we need to understand what the upkeep would be and what the provisions would be. And if you guys are working with the landlord to even improve beyond what is currently there, so much the better, I think. So, I mean, we are Flower Hill, and I think having nice flowers on that prominent corner would be really wonderful, and I think would just be lifting the brand up even farther than it already is.
Yeah, I mean, to everyone's point here, there is nice landscaping there to begin with. I actually was sitting in the parking lot just a few minutes before the meeting. If there's anything above and beyond that the town wants to request, I mean, we can look at it, but
It's good, we just
Yeah.
want to maintain the good. that we have.
100%.
If you guys want to be nicer and give us prettier plantings, great, but right now it's sufficient.
Well, we typically have an outdoor field for the brand as well, so, the
Mm-hmm.
outside is something that we like to look at in all of our locations.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
if there's something that's consistent with the brand, that you want to do, then, and obviously it's still a landlord issue, but I think we would be supportive of something that's consistent with the community as well.
100%.
So it's a little confusing on the signage. There's a banner sign and a blade sign, so both of those are off the table?
The only two signs that they're doing are the two signs on the wall, on the two faces of the
So
building.
there's no monument sign, there's no,
No other signs.
Yeah, no monument and no blade sign. It may be in those drawings right now, but it will be removed and we will send in updated drawings with that removed.
And that will go before the architecture review committee.
And no variance is needed for this property, correct?
No, again, the building's the same size as T-Mobile, the site plan layout, all the parking and ingress, egress are exactly the same, there's no change in that.
the load sounds high though, you're right.
Yeah,
The occupant load sounds high.
Yeah.
Because imagine the T-Mobile, well, if it was popular, probably wasn't that popular, actually, but that it would have a requirement that, or would have a load higher than, occupancy load higher than this.
right, well, the building now is in conformance with our parking requirements, using the first floor
Right.
as is proposed.
Any other board member have any questions? Does anyone from the public have any questions on this property? That being said, Jeff, lead us forward in how we proceed with this.
So, if the board is going to proceed, I would suggest that there be a secret determination first, that this would be an unlisted action for the purposes of secret. And based upon the presentation, the board could entertain a motion that, having identified it as an unlisted action, it has no other significant impact on the environment. And if that's the determination, then the board could proceed to a motion on the actual application itself.
Can we do both at the same time?
You may.
So then we will do both at the same time. And the application will be pursuant, assuming we approve it, will be pursuant to whatever plans going to the building superintendent that just needs to be reviewed, correct?
It will be my review building code wise and also through the architecture review committee.
Okay, because also what we have here is not exactly I just want to make sure that what's finally submitted
Right.
meets all what we just
And
discussed.
I'd like to put some provision in there, maybe Mr. Blinko could come up with the guarantee about the landscaping in some form.
Good addition. So I will make that motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second
All in favor?
And just to be clear, so would that motion then include the secret, and also, as Mr. Opinsky was saying, that the
Yes,
plans are to be submitted subject to review of the building department and approval by the building department to include landscaping?
correct.
Is that sufficient?
The maintenance of landscaping, the continuous maintenance of the landscaping, at a minimum, what's there now.
Right.
Which will then be maintained in the future by the applicant.
So I will remake that motion and Frank will resecond it.
I'll resecond.
And all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any nays? No. Thank you, my friends at Vivian.
Thank you very much.
When do you guys look, when do you think you're gonna break ground, I guess?
They're
not breaking any
I know.
ground. Strike the parking lot?
Yeah, we start parking
The
lot.
T-Mobile tenant is still in operation, and I need to confirm
The date of their.
the date of when they're leaving. I don't know when their lease is up.
Depending on permitting as well. So as soon
So
as
this
we have-
fall, you know.
Has anyone told the people at T-Mobile yet that they're out?
They were looking at it earlier when we were on the website.
For us, so
My apologies, I don't know that.
That's okay. People will be curious.
as soon as possible.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate you having me here. The second public hearing.
Can I just note the time? And one quick question. Peter, there was an address given 10 something. Did that say what? 10-7. Northern Boulevard. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
With respect to
You're on.
how do I?
That's right.
All right, the second and last public hearing is on Local Law 6, 2024, amending
I'm
chapter,
sorry, wait. I'm sorry, on local law.
Local Law 6 of 2024, amend chapter 219-2 trees definitions. As a, yeah, Mike's.
Okay, no,
Just for a matter of record, we did not get these revisions within 7 days of tonight's meeting. Therefore, we will not be holding a vote on this. But I will open this up for any board questions because we had some changes from last month. And I believe that those changes have been added into this revision of this local law.
Mayor, if I may, I can just summarize what the changes were.
Even better, Jeff, thank you.
So, at trustee Janice's suggestion, it was amended to indicate that measurements will be taken at a point 4 feet above the ground, as opposed to previously where we had suggested where it was measuring at the ground. And at trustee Smith's suggestion, I included that if, for whatever reason, a tree is removed before there's the opportunity to observe it, that there will be a presumption that that tree required permit and the village would proceed accordingly. Those are the two changes that I included. Otherwise, the draft remains the same.
I do have a question that, in the first definition part of tree,
Right.
you crossed out the trunk of which is 7 inches in diameter or greater at a height of 4 feet from ground level, minor forest vegetation of any size.
Minus,
Vegetation, sorry, I'm reading, any size.
Right.
Maybe I just didn't read this right. Is there replacement language for that?
There is, in section 2,
Okay,
under B, what I did was to move, may I actually approach trustee Smith, because I think it's easier if I just show you. So in.
usually I have to ask to approach.
Section 2B, what I did was I moved, if the board sees it under paragraph B, it's more specific as to the types of trees under paragraph B.
Okay,
So I have the measurement being in that paragraph, and it's related to each of those types of trees, rather than generic. So I just moved it there, so I thought it would be more consistent.
got it. Questions?
Any other questions? That being said, I guess I'm going to make a motion to hold this over until the October 7th Board of Trustees meeting.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any objections or abstentions? That being no, we have a vote on that. I'd like to take a vote to close the public hearing portion of this meeting. I'll make a motion. Motion by Mr. Frankel, seconded by
I'll second it.
Trustee Janice. All in favor?
Trustee.
I'm sorry, Deputy Mayor.
I get the
Janice.
mic.
I apologize. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, next up, public comment.
I didn't know we started at 7.
We started at 7 last month.
I didn't know
That's all right.
that. No worries, my fault.
this was the first review.
Next month.
You're dismissed, but thank you for coming. We appreciate meeting you.
Thank you very much.
Of course I'm coming, yeah. I'm so sorry.
Public comment. Do we have any public comment? Mr. Young, 3 minutes.
Sure. Yeah, I've become an avid biker in the past year. And I've noticed some hazards in the village as a biker. One is the overgrowth of vegetation on corners. And I actually had a very bad incident about 5 weeks ago where I was coming around a turn, there was a woman walking her dog, going the wrong side of the traffic. I came around the turn, didn't really see her to the left, and it was an overgrowth. And I fell off my bike and got a concussion. Fortunately, I didn't hit her and the dog's fine, so I did go to the hospital. The other thing I wanted to point out is the hazard associated with boulders on the side of the road. And I noticed it's become a biker now, and as I ride the streets of Flower Hill, you notice that that can be quite a hazard if you have to suddenly go to the side of the road or set back on these huge boulders. And some of them are actually falling onto the roads and not even pushed back enough. So I think that's a hazard that needs to be remedied. And finally, I also noted a couple of like potholes around the village that are associated with like the water system. Like there are these little caps associated with like, I guess, internal on and off valves associated with water distribution.
Right.
And they create an indentation in the road. Now, it's not bad for a car, but if you hit it on a bike, it's gonna be leaking. I can point some of those out as well. So I think my main issue is the clearance, the visibility on the corners, and also these boulders on the setback.
All right, well, thank you. I'm glad that you're feeling better from your accident.
Yeah. Still have double vision, so I see two.
We won't charge you extra for that, Bob.
Get better.
All right, next.
Can I make one comment to respond? No?
I'll tell you why later. I'd like to get a motion to approve the minutes of the August 5th Board of Trustees meeting. I will
Make the
make,
motion.
seconded by,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approves it
Who
unanimously.
seconded?
Mr. Smith, Trustee Smith. Motion to approve our claims. As always, I have reviewed them all. Everything seems, everything has the proper backup and documentation. So I would like to make a motion to approve the claims, seconded by,
I'll second.
excellent. All in favor?
Aye.
Except for Trustee Frankel. Yes. New business, Manhasset Women's Coalition Against Breast Cancer would like to do their annual 5K race through some of our streets on October 6, 2024, between 9:30 and 10:30. We have had them run this race through the village many years. I can't remember how many, but it's been enough. We have a certificate of insurance from them, so I don't think it should be a problem. We are a named party, which is always required. That being said, do we need to make a motion to approve this, I guess, Jeff?
Yes.
I will make a motion to approve the Manhasset Women's Coalition Against Breast Cancer 5K run on October 6, 2024, through the streets listed in their application, which the board should have copies of.
Awesome.
Thank you, Trustee Frankel. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or against? No. Let's go to the next item. We would like to continue the services of our new building department consultant, Mr. Jerry Tangredi. It helps us out with having enough hours of coverage throughout the village, specifically weekends and some mornings and other gaps in our current coverage. Mr. Tangredi so far has been an excellent building department consultant and has caught numerous contractors and landscapers who have been violating our code. So I don't know if anybody has any questions about that. Excellent.
Can you be helpful in identifying where screening at corners?
He can work with us on that, yes. So I guess I need to make a motion. Oh, you have a question?
No, we were talking about the corners?
No.
That's what I was going to shed light on, because I have been in contact with our code enforcer, who's very responsive, and I wanted to point out some of those corners and
Right.
what the status, if anyone was interested, but we could do it later.
Got it.
I was just going to let him know that he was not.
Yeah, I understand why.
Yeah, my neighbor down the block said, "Who's this new guy?" Like, what? It's very thorough.
We can talk about it later on. So I'm going
New
to,
sheriff in town.
it's always good to have a second sheriff. Not new sheriff, it's a second
So,
sheriff.
Absolutely.
It's good. When Jack's on vacation, we have good backup. So I don't have to go out. do these things. All right, I'm going to make the motion to appoint our building department consultant, Mr. Jerry Tangredi, seconded by.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Wonderful.
And,
And to
and
authorize,
just,
Yes, sir.
would that be subject to the drafting of the approvable agreement to be executed and authorized, signed by the mayor?
Yes. Thank you.
I'm sorry, who seconded that?
But
I did.
by the vote, only authorizing Marla to enter into an agreement with them. If she can't come to an agreement, can't get to come to an agreement. Doesn't matter. I don't want to waste any time.
No,
Yeah,
we usually authorize
That's
you
fine.
to draw up.
Right.
that's it.
Excellent. Next, court audit resolution. This one is very exciting. Whereas village justices are required to annually provide the court records and dockets to their respective auditing board in accord with Uniform Justice Court Act, Section 219A, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We have to just approve this lovely court audit resolution that we do every year.
This resolution actually gets sent up to the,
Albany.
yeah.
So I will make the motion for this. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Trustee Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstention? No. Let's go to the next. Next is we're going to put in for our annual court grant resolution. This year we're going for 2 items, but potentially 3. One, upgrades to our bathroom facilities. For those of us who've been in those bathrooms, they're a little old and dated. We're looking to add a security monitor in the office area so that the cameras can be monitored live on a big board. And then lastly, we want to do some possible improvements to our handicap access from the parking lot into the courtroom. The railing there needs to be fixed, and a little bit of the cement needs to be adjusted. So that's what we're doing that. So we need to put in for the court grant. So I need a resolution. I will make this motion, seconded by.
Can you explain the court grant? How does that work?
So what
So it's
happens?
not part of a budget, you apply for a grant?
That's why
I'm
it's
not
called,
familiar.
yeah, so it's court grant. So every
Yeah, I'm
year.
really not familiar with it.
Yeah, so every year here, which way do you want to hold? Frank will stay still.
Just ask the question.
You know, I'm just trying to keep eye contact. Every year we put in for a grant for various things that will help or enhance the court.
Right.
One has been last year was this carpet. Previously was the office carpeting and the flooring in the, where our court clerk works. Before that, what did we do before that? No, we fixed the air conditioner before. I don't think we got the
Generator, it's a generator.
and then
was a
I think we've done
generator.
the generator. So what you do is every year you put in for, in this case, it's up to $30,000. We may or may not get that full amount.
So
And
it's
then-
only for you put it in on behalf of the fact that we have village court here, not the fact that we have our village
Facility.
meetings here?
This is purely for the court. This is 100% for the
That's what
court.
I'm asking. Yeah, I just wasn't
Yeah, I'm
familiar
sorry.
with that.
If we didn't have a court, then we couldn't.
Couldn't put it for it.
Right.
Now, if we shared our court with another village, we could possibly put in for more, but there's no villages that really need the space.
Got it.
Some of the villages have very small courts. We could maybe work a deal out with them eventually, but I'll talk to those mayors. That'll hopefully be something for next year.
Gotcha, thank you.
So I'll remake the motion for this JCAP grant, seconded by,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Nobody opposed or abstention? Perfect. Public Works Superintendent report, Mr. Falconis. Oh, no, you got plenty of stuff. How's our equipment doing?
So far, it's so good.
Because we paid a lot of money to fix it. So for the record, we just had to invest some money in the sweeper. We've had to invest some money in what I call the small dump truck. It needs more work. It seems to be a truck that it's an old vehicle, and we're hoping for it to last a couple more years, but at this rate, I think we might have to replace it next year. It needs more monies. The bed is starting to rot because we got a, what's the material the bed made out of now, Rich?
Now we're staying still.
What's the current bed made out of? And it's rotting and rusting. Rich is continuing to put money into the vehicle, but it's really not worth the monies that we're putting into it. It's towards the end of its life cycle. So that vehicle will have to replace next budget year. We were hoping that it'd last a little longer, but we're starting to put too much money into it, so it's just not worth it. So I just want to give everybody a heads up on that. We had to spend some money to fix the compressor downstairs in the garage. That was another $1,000 or so. So some of our old equipment is needing it's needing maintenance. So unscheduled maintenance on some of these things.
Sweeper, I got parts for the sweeper, that's something you gotta fix, we'll get it.
And you going to sweeper school?
Yeah, I had to put that up.
Put that up, sweeper school. The manufacturer of the sweeper holds classes in the Dallas area.
Waco, Texas.
And
Nice.
it's relatively
Waco's great.
Is it free or is it relatively
Waco's
expensive?
nice.
Texas free, as long as, yeah.
We just have to send Rich down there and they will be able to teach him how to do more maintenance and more repairs on the vehicle so we can keep that stuff in-house and not have to send it out. So that's really good. So Rich will,
Cool.
when is the next classes?
December, November, December, I think.
So do we have to approve it at the next board meeting?
She has everything.
Why don't we approve it at the next board meeting? Why don't you come up with a quick budget? Give it to Marla, we'll discuss it next board meeting, and we'll approve it so you can go and learn how to fix our lovely truck. ARC report, Mr. Albinski.
Okay, this was August 26th, meeting of the Architecture Review Committee. We had 3 on the agenda. 128 Chestnut, that was a new board for facade renovations. That we had some comments, we approved with those conditions. They actually had gotten those drawings and approved them just today. Then we had 8 Cardinal Road, which was roof-mounted solar panels. We asked them to come back because a number of them were on the front roof. We were looking to put all the panels on the rear roof, and they were going to come back and try to work that. There was a possible tree that looked in some of our photos that maybe that was questionable. We're going to look into that tree if that would help, if it was in decline. And then 79 Dartmouth, that was a rear and side additions. In looking at that project, we saw sort of a, I guess we'll call a major change where we wanted to shift the addition closer to the road. That would help design, and they're going to need to come back with that amongst other comments that we had. That was the ARC report for August 26th.
So I will make a motion to approve these 3 findings, seconded by Mr. Frankel.
Essentially, we're just approving 129 Chestnut, because the other people come back.
Correct.
Correct. I'm just using my same boilerplate language that I use. every month. So thank you.
We're listening.
That was a test, AJ.
No, I wasn't.
It was a test.
You read it.
I read it, I'm actually ready.
So-
Well, we're not approving anything except for these.
Gary will be abstaining from this, as well as Ms. Dorfman, because this is her house.
Oh, very nice.
So I'll make a motion.
I'll go in the middle on that one, no, just blend me with the cookie.
So I will make a motion to approve.
Now how are you gonna vote?
No, I'm gonna abstain.
That would be a problem. All right, I'm making a motion to approve 129 Chestnut, seconded by.
I'll second.
You're going to second after you receive that cookie?
Yes.
Okay, you're officer of the court. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, no abstentions and no.
One,
Oh,
two
and
abstentions.
you're, well, I noted those 2 abstentions, other abstentions. All right, because I have 2 different agendas here, I'm going back. I skipped to Jana. We got a lovely piece of correspondence, or actually Jeff got the correspondence late on Friday, that the Jana carding was just purchased by Meadow Card. And lo and behold, Rob pulls up in front of my house this morning.
Yeah, the orange metal
An
truck.
orange truck.
Yeah, I
The
said
same
that.
workers.
I was like, Albert, what happened?
It was the same workers.
Yeah,
So
new truck.
they had an NDA in place, and they couldn't announce until, what time did you hear on Friday? Late?
Late Friday afternoon.
Right, so-
The call Thursday, we didn't speak till
We
Friday.
had no real advance notice. Luckily, no resident called the village today, say, why do I have a metal truck picking up my
Just
garbage?
as long as they're garbage.
Yeah, right.
Garbage is
And
garbage.
they see the same people, so it's.
It's the same people. Eventually, you might still see some of the white trucks. They're going to be painting them over and rebranding them. So we'll see orange trucks. The drivers will be the same. I will be meeting with Dejana in about a week or two. Meadow, because my contact there is heading away on vacation. When he gets back, we'll sit down. We will need to discuss the legal issues of this, and we will do that in executive session because it's a contract. Attorney's report.
Mr. Mayor, there's nothing to report from the ZBA as no matter has gone to final. So continue to the next meeting, so I'll have a further report on the next meeting.
Excellent. Mayor's report. Marla's going to remind me to say something.
Okay.
Yes. Trees?
Trees.
Trees?
Oh, the trees, right.
Trees.
September 27th.
So September
Okay.
27th, we're going to have a little tree planting ceremony. Marla has purchased 2 dogwoods
Cherokee Brave dog.
from the
One
glove.
Cherokee Brave and one.
One's a stellar pink dog.
So we put in for a grant for them, and we actually need to spend the money first before we can get the money for the grant. Not like the court grant where you get the grant first, then you spend the money. So we bought 2 trees. One will be planted across from Village Hall on the triangle on Country Club, and the other one will be planted
In the first island on Rollingwood.
on Rollingwood. So how tall are they going to be, these trees?
The Cherokee's already coming to about 6-7 feet,
Wow.
and the
Oh,
stellar
great.
is about 5 feet, but they do get about, 20 feet or so.
Yeah. And we specifically chose for the Country Club Island something that's not going to block traffic, because there was discussion of putting in what's the trees I hate? Crepe myrtles.
You hate them?
Well, because I think they block the road too much. They get wide. I didn't
They're
like
nice.
crepe myrtles. They're nice trees, but they
Would they be planted soon?
They'll be planted up.
When will they be planted?
As soon as I get
So-
them, they're being shipped.
Part of the grant is having like
Ceremony.
a celebration.
Right.
That I have to submit pictures of this celebration, so anybody can come and just stand there. So I just chose randomly, September 27th. I'm sure I could
What
change
day
it if I had
Who's
to.
are you
but,
are you planting?
Yeah.
How big's the ball?
It's a 7-gallon.
And they don't need water?
Well,
Only when it rains.
Marla came up with a good idea. Diaper,
It's called
Yeah.
water, it's a water.
So the
tree
city of
type.
New York requires them on street trees. It's basically a green vinyl cover that goes around it, and you fill it with water, and it keeps.
It's like a giant
Tree has
donut. It's a
them.
tree donut.
Green Tree has them right now.
Green tree, does it do? Okay. Yeah, they work really well.
So we're gonna try this tree donut. I hate the word diaper.
I think it's like that, yeah.
And hopefully that should,
You know,
And once
call
the
it a
tree is
skirt, right?
established,
Yeah.
the one particularly, both of them, but they are deer resistant, disease resistant, and they're really good trees, drought resistant for the
Yep.
purpose, so. as long
Just
as
gotta be on
it's-
top of it the first year, and then after that, once it's.
Right. which is why we're gonna use
Will you
this.
take the rose bushes down?
we're gonna do some stuff yet. We got some stuff going, yeah.
What day of the week is it?
That's a Friday.
It's a
it looks like to
Friday.
me.
I mean, we can change the date out, let them know if it doesn't work, but just.
What time?
What time?
Pick a time.
Yeah, what time?
Pick a time, Marla.
I'm here at 8:30.
It's up to Rich.
8:30. Do it at 8:30.
What time is good for you?
Like 10?
All right, so what day is this now?
It's September 27th, which is
Friday,
Well,
September
Friday.
27th.
Well, not on Fridays.
Anybody want to make it earlier than that? Than 10? You guys are the working people.
If we could.
Early, like at 9 or?
Yeah, yeah.
School buses are going?
What time?
Nine?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not 9.
All right, 9 o'clock it is.
Okay.
9 a.m. Mary Jo will have the longest commute. 3 doors down. Perfect. I think that's the end of my mayor's report. Trustees report. I know the security committee is going to be meeting in September.
September 17th,
Thank you.
I sent out a notice, as I told everyone last time, I was not meeting before Labor Day.
Yep.
I am in fact meeting on September 17th. The entire committee has been notified. I think all but one have said yes. My notification specifically referenced the fact that we're talking about, it's probably going to become an issue that we're going to talk about withdrawing our security patrol. Everybody knows that. I asked them specifically to speak to their neighbors to provide feedback with respect at this meeting. And many of the responses from the members of the committee was that they will do so, or they already have done so. I also received a question from one of the members asking what's going to happen to the money if we get rid of this, to which I responded, we can repurpose the money, or we can cut taxes, or we can do a combination of both, basically laying out that those are the options for what happens when something gets cut out of the budget. I am asking Marla and Randall, I don't want to just have a meeting where everybody sits around and voices their opinion. I'm going to need like 2 years of crime statistics or our crime report for the last 2 years, the amount we've actually budgeted for this item, how much, what the average tax cost is for this item. And then if anybody wants to add anything else to the discussion in terms of other ideas for the money and stuff like that, I can certainly present it to the committee, but obviously we can't go to them with anything specific because we'd have to vote on anything specific, whether it's going to be a tax cut or anything like that.
I can't say there's going to be a tax cut because this year is already.
Right, it's done, the budget's already done, yeah.
So we
Yeah.
can't talk about a 2024, 25 tax cut because that year's paid.
Right.
Whatever information you want, can you detail it in an email?
Yes.
So that Marla can attempt to get whatever data that is you need?
Yeah, and you also got, you also were receiving like logs from them as to what they were doing every night and stuff like that. That kind of stuff should be distributed to the committee before the meeting, I think.
That's gonna be easier than getting info from the timely, anyway, from the police department. They are not that quick, not even for us, unless anybody.
Well, we have
we get
the
these.
police reports.
No, that I have, I'm saying,
So
but
we'll
if
just
you
give it to all the
know
last-
actual, their reports.
Yeah, you're not gonna get them, they're not gonna get them. But if we can get the last 2 years of these.
You have that in your
Yeah,
files.
that's fine.
So we'll,
Yeah.
AJ will
Because if
print
you,
It's not, I'm not asking, I don't think I'm asking for anything that's not already been done. I'm just asking it to be packaged.
There.
So when we get the police report every month, I just need the last 2 years of police reports. The log books that they've kept since the day we hired them, theoretically, we have them, or whatever. I don't think they're books, but I think they're electronic something or others. Like we had maps of where they would drive around, how often they would spend and
we
stuff.
get a nightly, or
Right.
every morning we get a narrative as well as you've seen the copy of the document.
Yeah.
That shows all the pinpoints of where they drove, and it shows where the car was pinged every, 10, 15, 20 seconds.
Right.
So that's very voluminous, but we can get some data for you from that.
Maybe we can do it for 2 months or something like that.
We can try to get that stuff, but just
Yeah.
as soon as you can,
Yep.
get an email tomorrow myself so we can try to get that. All right, I think Mary Jo had some security patrol questions and or comments.
No, so I think the genesis of this was me sending an email to everybody. I know people were away, and I just wanted to understand the process as a board as to, since, was it a resolution? Is it a law? It was in the budget. I just needed to understand that. And Randall and I spoke, and he had mentioned that, AJ, you were going to conduct the meeting after everybody got back on vacation. So my understanding is that obviously that's going to happen, and you will have feedback. I think my concern was that this is very hard to have metrics, I think, that are going to be, I think that you could point to hard and fast, and no matter what you come up with and say, because we've had somebody driving around 10 miles of our road, passing my house twice a month, whatever it is, that has led to a decrease in crime. Maybe it has, but I think it's going to be very hard to, with a high degree of certainty, say it has deterred.
You know, I think when we made the decision, we had a lot of residents here. They were very vocal. I feel that at the time, we were asked to respond, and there was genuine fear. Fear in the room, there was emotion, and we as trustees decided we weren't going to just do nothing. What are our options? We really didn't have options, honestly. We weren't going to be able to put license plate readers in or whatnot. We had a limited amount of money. And so we made this decision based on the facts that we had at the time. And so now it's 7 months later, something like, I don't know, when we voted on it, February or March? It came up in January, maybe February, so whatever. Call it 8, 9 months, whatever. So my question is to the board, to Randall, as a board, what is the game plan for the metrics? What is the game plan for, do we as trustees, I mean, we're a board that is elected by the constituents, every one of us. And so we are the voters, right? All of us here, we're all voters. So if it were to go to a vote, is that how it would happen? And is that the legal, that's why I wanted you to weigh in, you and I haven't spoken. I really don't know what the right process is. I'd like to follow the right process, but I don't want to be still talking about this next March. You know, I feel like we have the information, and I feel that, you know, it's not a question of who gets 100 people to show up. I mean, you know, if you want the other side to show up, I'm sure your father could mobilize a few people to come to the meeting. We don't need that. There's all of us. We all live in different parts of the town for the most part. AJ, you speak to a representative group that was put together, and they are speaking to residents. Even if we took a survey, the survey is never going to be able to, you know, you're not going to know randomly, did you have, you know, the right, are other results going to be able to, you know, to be correct? Are they, so I really feel that while at the time we did the right thing, given the circumstances, I would like to understand and move forward to, I have faith in the Nassau County Police Department, and I think most people here, I don't think there's an argument here with that. But I don't feel that we should continue this based on emotion. And I feel that it should be a consensus, that's what we're going to, and I'd like to understand the timetable for that, how that's going to happen, and that's why I brought this up. So I'll get off my soapbox now, but that's how. But I think I didn't leave anything out, and hopefully didn't repeat myself too many times.
Well, I think one other point might be that, you know, we are stewards of the finances for the village, the budget, and that if we collectively as a board feels that the expenditure for this particular thing is not warranted and we're not getting true value out of it. I mean, let's face it, it's one car driving around the village. You know, from day one, I never thought it was really going to have an impact. The police commissioner says it's not going to do a thing. So I think that's also a point that we should make, that, you know, we're looking out for the fiscal health of the village, and that this is an expense that we feel is no longer necessary and could be revisited again in the future. But right now, it's in the best interest to reduce the cost.
And my understanding is that we can vote on it, but that the vote is either to continue it, not continue it, or push it off to another time. I mean, maybe there are other options to vote on, but.
When did the car start driving? What was the date of when?
It was like February.
So it was after the holiday season?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, because I reviewed the contractor agreement in January, and I think that they probably started shortly after that. And just to return to the question that Trustee Collins raised, this was approved by resolution, so the board, a resolution could be made to halt it. Under their agreement, they have to be given 30 days written notice. So from the day the board makes a resolution saying we're going to notify them that we're terminating, we would send them written notice, and it would be 30 days after that they would become effective.
I think in all likelihood, it's probably going to come out to be somewhere January 1st. Because, you know, this is already a September meeting, you know, we have the October, AJ's got to work with his committee. Then we have October, people might say, you know, look, there is an uptick in crime during the holiday season between Thanksgiving and Christmas. So maybe we all agree to say, well, you know, we'll keep this in place until January 1st, and at that point, you know.
But I think it's a vote, correct?
It will be a vote.
At the end of the day, it's a vote.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I wanted to understand.
We definitely started in late January. I'm trying to find the exact date.
No, I'm my own curiosity. I would
Sorry,
like
my
to see it
mistake.
in
Early
one-
February, I'm reading this
I'm
back.
in favor of axing it, but I think give it one holiday season just to see when the porch fires come up, and there's always that big uptick, and then if there's really nothing of substance, then we put it to.
If there's nothing in substance, does that mean it's working? I mean, how are we measuring this?
Yeah.
That's kind of, I hear you with the
It's false,
holiday
yeah.
thing, but
There's no causality that you can.
correct, I agree. What is that proving? So then we keep it for another year because because we have that, it's working? Or is it because of the increased attention to our village by the 6th precinct? Where are the metrics?
I don't think you can have metrics.
I know,
for this.
so that's why I think you have
You
to
know, it's.
say to each trustee, and based on AJ, again, you getting a wider sampling, and you're gonna meet with these people, you've already asked them to think about it. How long is it gonna take them to talk to their people? Can't they speak to them
Many
in
of them have
October?
already said that
And
they,
you said that, so that's why I'm saying, can't we bring it up in October?
So here's what we're going to do. First of all, it's January 31st was the first day of the patrol, because I found the original email. I think what we will do is we will publicize a public meeting. It's not a hearing. We will invite the public to come and speak, either for or against, and we'll hear what the residents have to say.
I think you're inviting again, who can bring out more numbers? And I
Okay.
don't see,
So-
if we're entrusted with listening to our residents, I mean, you can do that, Randall, you're gonna have to get a bigger room. You will not be able to have it in this room and have everybody fit in, because if it comes to that, I would think that you'll have a lot of people, and then it becomes who brings out more people, I don't know.
Okay.
It's not a numbers thing,
I think-
right?
I think it's necessary for us, if I'm gonna have this meeting on the 17th, to publicize the fact that if people want to be heard on this issue at a board meeting, that they should come to the October board meeting. So I don't know what the difference is between that and just publicizing the fact that this is going to be on the agenda come October. I mean, listening to people is what we're supposed to do. So I don't know,
I thought you were doing that via
No, I am.
committee, so.
but I'm reporting back on that for the first time, right, in October.
But I think
Whatever, it's fine.
we assigned a committee to look into this.
Back
Yeah.
when.
So that's, you know, the first thing we did. So that's a group of residents that were selected because either they were interested in it or for whatever reason, they're, you know, a subset of the community. Then we have us, who's the board, who,
Yeah.
like Mary just said, will vote on it. So I think when you have a committee that makes a recommendation to the board and the board votes on it, I think you're right. You know, just inviting people, you'll get two leaders of a group. They'll say, you know, get all the no security people to the village that night. And the other person will say, get all the security people to the village that night. And it'll just become a shouting match between the two sides as to why one wants it and why one doesn't. I think that, you know, we're charged. Your committee was charged to make a recommendation to the board. I think that that's what should happen. And I think the board, based on that recommendation, should make our decision. Because as Mary just says, as Trustee Collins says, we represent the residents.
In the air of
We can't make everything up for a vote for everybody in the village because it's just
In
not
the air
gonna.
of transparency, I want to hold a public meeting on this.
So if you say you want to hold a public meeting, then it just goes and nobody has a say in it, and that's what happens? In other words, if you say you want a public meeting, then what, if there are 4 trustees that say, no, we want to do what Frank just suggested, that AJ's committee was charged, these people were selected, right? Specially selected, you didn't just put your finger in the air, these people were selected. So if we're trusting them with being, communicating with residents. And we as trustees, every committee, we don't go and say, let's have a public hearing on it. So I guess I'm
This is
struggling.
not, other items are not as charged as this was.
So is it the mayor's final say that this is how it's handled as a public hearing?
No.
Is it up to you?
I can offer a resolution, it can be voted down, but I strongly suggest that we open this up to the public. For us as a board to vote on this without getting public input is really a failure of transparency.
I don't think we're failing, I think you are mischaracterizing it. We are not failing to get public opinion. We have charged AJ and his committee who have been, when does that committee start, AJ?
After we started the patrol.
So February?
Yeah, February, March.
I can't find the original email. I'm looking.
Okay, so is
No, my point-
it fair to say you've had a committee for at least 6 months?
The reason I point that out is that this wasn't started as a result of a committee hearing. And I'm frankly concerned that the committee consists of primarily people that wanted this in the first place. So I'm not sure that this committee is going to be representative of both sides of this issue because it's sort of stacked towards keeping, or at least it was stacked towards having this in the first place. So if you're going to put that same group of people together, you may not get the answer that you're looking for here. Because I don't think it's representative of both sides of the issue. I don't think it was built like that. I think it was built more like these are the people that have been vocal about this issue, and that's why they were brought in the first. I mean,
We're an independent board. We don't have to listen to what the committee says.
Right.
We can vote whatever we wish.
Right.
We have to vote our conscience,
Right.
basically. So I don't have a problem with, I mean, I think I understand Randall's point. I truly understand it. So, but irrespective of what happens, whatever shit show happens, it's on each of us to vote our conscience on this.
I agree.
yeah, I'm just concerned again that the committee, now, they may talk to their neighbors and provide representative comments from what their neighbors have to say. But I'm not sure that the people that are on my committee are going to reflect both sides of, because they weren't built like that.
Gotcha. No, that's a good point, but I think.
You know, you're having, I don't want to use Democratic or Republican, but it's like we put together a primary for one party and now we're asking them to represent both parties. And that's not really what's happening. It's not that political. It's not, I didn't put Republicans and Democrats. I didn't mean it that way. But what I meant was this group wasn't about finding out what the whole community wants. This was more about you guys have expressed yourselves at meetings. Come to a meeting so we can discuss it more closely. So that's why I'm concerned that the suggestion that the committee should be strongly followed, I question whether that's the appropriate strategy, because I don't know, if I didn't assemble the committee to do that, we're not really, the reason I think the committee's meeting is in the first place is because they're a big part of why this whole thing is happening, and they should be entitled to be heard before we do a vote.
But I didn't actually say that we should follow what I said, you
No, I
can
know.
make a recommendation to us. But as Trustee Lewandowski pointed out, that at the end of the day, it's up to us. Otherwise, why are we here?
Right.
We've been trusted by the residents to act in their behalf, and I think that that's what we need to do. And I think that just having the committee shows transparency.
But just to clarify, so it need not be a formal public hearing, but all the board's meetings are public. So this would certainly be, you would receive the same type of notice as every other meeting.
Right.
It would be on the agenda, it should be on the agenda.
Right.
And I just want to say, regardless of, it doesn't have to have a board resolution to say we'll give this type of notice, that type of notice. Anybody's free to speak to whoever they want about appearing. And then the board can hear from whoever they wish, or not hear from whoever they wish and make their determination. But it would need to be on the agenda. And any paperwork that the board's relying on should be posted to the website
Right.
in compliance with the open meetings law.
Should,
And
That might be a better way to do it, just put it in the agenda and see, because otherwise, it's gonna be on Facebook, it's gonna be, different sides.
So the only question I have is, like, I'm not sure what the results will be out of your meeting, AJ, and it'll be interesting to know that, and put that into context. In other words, whatever data that you pull and review with the committee, I think is important that we understand when you drill down on that, what does any of that mean, if it does mean anything at all. And I think your point about the tax implication is an important one to include in the data. But, I think then that should be as equally transparent as part of, so I think maybe you cull through that information and whatever highlight you want to bring to light out of that.
Well, that tax information, Gary, was already presented to the board in the budget.
Yeah.
That's already there.
Yes, but I think he wants to have one clean set of information to be able to have that with his committee.
Okay, well,
And I think coming out of that, what does that boil down to?
AJ will request that to myself.
And that I think maybe is something because I think we all would be interested in understanding when you boil down that information, what it means, if anything at all.
Right.
Or limited in whatever way it may be.
For Jeff's benefit, I just want to marshal the evidence. I don't want to create new documents. I just want to marshal the things that we've already done and present it in one coherent package, first to the committee, then to the board. And presumably, if anyone wants to come to the meeting and review the stuff, it's going to be easy to follow. Whether it proves anything one way or the other is all different.
Right.
All wax.
So what I'm going to do is in the mayor's newsletter and probably with a subsequent follow-up email, I will notify the residents that the board is looking to hold a vote at the October 7th meeting to determine the continuing or disbanding of the security patrol. And those residents that are interested in coming and speaking, this is a public forum and they may come and speak. And if the room is full of David Frankels, that's one thing. And if the room is full of the opposite of David Frankels, that's another thing.
You're gonna get both, I'm sure, but would it be to
Anti-
dissolve the effective immediately? At the
I
vote, or
don't,
would
I
you
don't,
set
I
up-
don't, I don't know what this board's intention is.
Okay.
From my perspective, since, all right, I'm gonna jump ahead to
We'll pick a
October.
So the future-
I am not comfortable with dissolving this patrol until after the holiday season.
And I would go along with that.
So I don't know why we would need to take a vote in the October board meeting to dissolve something that we only need 30 days notice. Hold, let me finish. I don't know why in the October board meeting, we would need to vote on something that needs 30 days notice to dissolve. That's something we could do in the December or January board meeting. Because we could hold said vote, and if something happens in the community, we now made a decision, let's say, to get rid of the patrol. And we're going to end the patrol, and now all of a sudden there's a spike in crime that we have to back.
Do we have to publish the fact that we were going to take a vote? Or do we?
I'm all for transparency, yes. This board is not going to be working in secret.
Why can't we tell? My preference is that we tell the public that it's going to be on the agenda at the October meeting with no guarantee we're going to vote one way or the other. That's,
Right, because maybe we don't vote.
maybe we don't vote in October.
Because we don't know what people are gonna hear between now and then. But I would, at the end of the day, I didn't want us to still be talking about it next January and nobody's come to any conclusions.
I get it.
So that's does it have to be in a vote in October? No. But I
Then
think
I don't
that
want-
there
then I
should be
don't-
some more,
If it is anyone's intention to hold a vote in October, I would like that publicized.
I agree with that, but it seems like we're kind of getting a consensus for the end of the year, which actually plays into what I believe in, which is more, it's on the agenda in October, we don't vote in October, we come back in November, and then the members of the public have had 2 months to show up at a meeting and to express their opinions, and then we vote at the end of the year. That's just
Yeah,
That's the kind of direction
I like
I'm
that
kinda
idea. Yeah.
Assuming
I think
that
that's a fair-
assuming that the crime trends stay steady as they are, which is pretty infinitesimal, the amount of crime in our village, I would be leaning more towards that. But historically in this village, we have had the famous Christmas bandits that come from South America that robbed houses right around here in the village. I've seen the video of them breaking into homes. This is 5 or so years ago. And you can speak to the police commissioner. They will tell you during Christmas time is when the bad guys come up because that's when all the goodies are under the trees.
So as long as they come between 10 and 6 and they don't encounter the little car with the yellow light, then they're fine.
Yes.
And then we have next year's budget when we're
Or
up
they
another
s-
14%.
or they
because
see
they've
the-
raised
yeah.
their prices.
Or they see the car with the yellow light coming out of the block and they hide behind the bush for 3 minutes until the car's gone. And then, it's, my whole point is that it's the whole concept of one car driving around a village size is ineffective. There's no way
So it's your
that one
recommendation for
car.
us, maybe then let's add more cars. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, we'll get 10, 15 cars. That'll
I think that's a wonderful.
That'll be
I'm
better.
not sure where the money's gonna come from.
I mean, look, the more you have, obviously, the better it is, but one car is not effective. It's just not effective. And you heard the police commissioner say that. Like, what's this guy gonna do? You know, it's. And he's announcing he's coming down the block with a bright yellow light. I mean, at least have him drive around in the dark,
So-
and so it looks like just
Before
another
crimes are
vehicle.
being committed amongst board members, can we put this on the agenda for October with sort of a
Yeah, well-
gentleman ladies agreement that we may not be voting on it in October?
Well,
that we're gonna have.
hold on, though.
No.
If we are not voting on it in the October meeting, then I will state that in communications to the residents. If our intention is to hold a vote, then I would like the residents to know that. It's all about transparency. We owe it to them if this is something we're going to vote on in October. If it's the intention of this board to hold that vote in October, I need to let the residents know. It is not fair to them to say maybe. If they want to marshal either direction, yay or nay. Or nobody shows up and then we just decide as a board. But we owe it to our residents to let them know what our intentions are. And if our intentions is to hold a vote, they need to know that.
I just respectfully disagree. If nobody shows up next October and we want to get rid of it, I don't know why we would be precluded from voting just because we haven't told people. I just don't see why it can't be on the agenda. And then we're gonna act on it or not gonna act on it. But if you want to do it the other way, then we're gonna tell them it's gonna be on the agenda, but we're definitely not gonna vote. I'm okay with that too, because I'm happy with not voting on it in October.
I am not ready to vote on this until, and again, there's 7 people here. I'm not ready to vote on this until we get through the holiday season.
You don't want to vote until after December?
I would like
After
to
January.
vote until, yes, probably December, maybe January. So we have to decide.
So then we're gonna have to secure it till February, because we have 30 days.
Right.
So then we
Quite possibly.
Have for a year. So I'd like to hear from everybody, just so Claire, I haven't heard from you. I don't want to assume I know what you're thinking, but I think I know what you're thinking, but it would be nice to hear it.
Yeah, I mean, I see both sides of this. I understand the shortcomings in the data and what are we trying to prove. I do think that we need to have some public transparency though, so I am aligned with what AJ was saying with respect to putting it on the agenda for October and then taking it from there. The issue of holiday packages, always an issue. Does it deter? I don't know the answer to that. I really don't. But I don't think we should vote on it in October for sure.
I mean, if we're that concerned about the holiday packages, then we should have 24-hour day security, because I bet you more of them are stolen before 10 o'clock.
I'm not talking about packages. I'm talking about what's in people's homes. That's when the crimes are happening. Would theoretically happen.
Well, let's find it, it'd be nice to find out from the police the times, because I would bet that most of the break-ins happen before 10 o'clock.
From Thanksgiving through Christmas, we do an incredibly detailed.
Yeah, we should have that, because we don't
Very,
ever get
very
it.
detailed.
That's the only way we'll really know, is to have,
Gary?
the commanding officer kind of.
I'm supportive of what AJ said, so I'm okay with saying we're gonna open it up for discussion on October without any mention of.
I have a question, Jeff. So let's say we vote in November to cancel it on December 31st. The 30-day notice is for us to terminate their agreement, correct? What if we have a crime spree a week before Christmas and we call them and say, you know what? We're not terminating,
Canceling.
you know, we're gonna keep you for another month or two. Can we do that? Or once you terminate, then that's it, eh?
No, I expect that we could do that. I would just reach out to them.
Yeah, I think
Say if the
we
board
can
changes their
negotiate the
mind,
terms of
we'll reach back
the
out to you.
termination, sure.
I hate to tell you this, even though the contract does have 30-day termination language, I haven't spoken to the security patrol company yet, but they might be willing to end it earlier than that. I don't know. We haven't had that conversation with them yet. They might want to deploy that resource elsewhere, the vehicle. I don't know. Obviously, they're going to want their
I
monies,
think they, you know.
but we haven't broached the subject yet.
Mm.
So I don't know. They might be willing to terminate early. They might not be willing to terminate early. I mean, right now we have a contract, so we haven't had this conversation.
Yeah, I would guess they would.
I mean,
They would
30
want to hold the
days,
30
it's a
days.
minimum 30 days.
Yeah.
So it's not, if we wanted a 60-day lead time, we could have a 60-day lead time, if they agree to it.
Yeah.
I think it's just the terms of negotiation on it at that point.
Right.
We just need to wait to January just to vote on it. It's, you know, it's pushing this another couple months. And it's just, what is it, $14,000 every single month.
You should, we didn't hear from Matt.
I just, you know, I think everyone knows my stance. I think it's ineffective. I have to, in good conscience. I mean, yes, should the public know that we're talking about it? I believe they should. Are they gonna go back and forth? Is it gonna resolve anything? I don't think it's going to. It's just one versus the other. And it's kind of not so much of a waste of time, but the right for people to voice their opinion, again, is important. And I'm genuinely curious about what happens. I do have my gut feeling is that crime's gonna go up and people start breaking in. I think it's ineffective and people start breaking into people's homes, come December. But I don't think it's, because I don't think it's doing its job now. The yellow light going around, I see it once or twice a night, and I don't think it's true. I think it's a waste of money and a waste of taxpayer money. But I do want to see it through the holiday season.
We can also vote in December for, we don't have to give them 30 days notice, we can give them 60 days notice. And then in January, when we come back, if we decide when we're gonna undo the 60 day, you know what I mean? We could have 2 months of lead time or something like that. We could decide in November, we're gonna give them 2 more months. And then in December, we can change our mind because we've had another month of operation. There's nothing to say. The 30-day thing is like with treating it like it's a hindrance. Maybe it's a benefit to us to give them 2-month notice. And with the idea that we'll have one more board meeting after that, so we can actually say, upon further review, we're going to keep you. I've said too much.
I think just taking the ball off the field, all good. So,
All right, so it sounds like we're going to have a public discussion in October. It's going to be on the agenda. It doesn't sound like we're having a vote in October, or are we misconstrued what people are discussing here?
I don't think it's necessary to have a vote on it. Yeah, let's just hear, let's give people a chance to, because we have to process what we hear that night.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I don't think it's fair to just listen and then, because then it looks like this is a predetermined thing and we're not, you know. So I think we probably should let people know maybe that there's not going to be a vote. This is strictly a informational session.
We have to start on the
Yeah, and then let's see what AJ's committee comes back with. Let's see what response we get for the October board as far as attendance. And then, you know, we can,
Can we say different, like a time? I don't want to say how many people get to talk, because everyone gets the right to talk, but is there a time?
We can set, we are allowed to set the terms of engagement.
Okay.
Just like public comment, I limit it to 3 minutes per person. We can decide, we can limit it to, it's not a public hearing, it's not a public meeting. Sorry, it's not a public hearing. So we can limit the amount of comment. We can possibly, Jeff might say to me, we can actually have no comment.
You can. So the board has procedures in place that currently allow for 3 minutes, but those are the board's procedures, so the board can change.
We can
as
change
you
that
deem
to a
appropriate.
minute and a half, a minute, 2 minutes, what, we can decide at the meeting based on how many people are here. If there's 3 people here, they can each have their 3 minutes. If there's 300 people here, 30
10
seconds.
people, 1 minute, on each for each.
And then we could change it. We could have the first few people have X amount of minutes, the next amount of people less minutes. We can set up the ground rules depending on how many people are here to keep things orderly and so it's not a 10-hour thing. Okay, we need to go into executive session to discuss the Dejana karting / Meadow karting contract. So I'm going to make a motion to go into executive session. Seconded by?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Rich, can you kill the camera? Thank you very much.